What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome into another episode of The Breakout. As always, I'm your host, Robby Stanley. You can find me on Twitter at rstanleyNHL or subscribe to this YouTube channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Big news today from the Nashville Predators. It was announced today that Ryan Ellis is going to miss the first few months of the regular season, recovering from knee surgery. Obviously, a really important player for the Predators, a big blow for the Predators. Here's Nashville Predators general manager David Poile talking about the injury earlier today.
Also, Ryan Ellis had knee surgery in the offseason, and in discussing it with our doctors at this time, they would like to take it a little bit slower with his recovery. The initial prognosis on this type of knee injury is 4 to 6 months, and right now we feel, and the doctor feels, it's going to take the full 6 months for him to recover. Ryan's not skating yet. Probably will be skating in approximately another 3 weeks, and the recovery will go from there. So we don't expect him back until at the end of the year, maybe the new year, maybe later on, Christmas time. Obviously, we had a little bit of heads up in this, and that's really one of the reasons why we got Emlyn from Las Vegas to add to not only our depth but the quality of our defense.
So obviously that's a huge blow to the Nashville Predators with Ryan Ellis being out around Christmas, and January is when they think they'll be able to come back, so somewhere near the new year. So you think about it, that's half of October, all of November, and most of December at least, that the Predators will be without the services of Ryan Ellis. And we saw in the playoffs last year in their first ever trip to the Stanley Cup final how valuable Ryan Ellis is to this team. You take any member of that top four defense and take them out of the lineup, the Predators are just not the same team. So it brings me back to July 1st when you think back to the signing of Nick Bonino and Scott Hartnell. We had been in a press conference with David Poile kind of discussing and going over the signings that he had that day. And it was literally probably 10 or 15 minutes after that press conference was over, we saw the news that the Predators had made a trade with Vegas to bring in Alexei Emelin. And we all thought, my first reaction anyway, was, okay, maybe that's a piece to bring in a guy like Matt Duchene, who the Predators were heavily rumored at the time to be interested in and trying to work out a deal for. Well, now we know why that move was made. Ryan Ellis needed surgery. They knew that at the time. The Predators say that he was hurt. He played through it in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. Had that series gone to 7 games against the Pittsburgh Penguins, Ellis would have been able to play in Game 7, but they knew at that point in time that it was going to require surgery. So they went out, they got Emelin, and now we see why. It's something that he's probably going to have to play top 4 minutes with Ellis out of the lineup. So the question now becomes, can the Predators survive the first few months without Ryan Ellis? We saw what a hole they dug themselves last year to begin the regular season. They were just not very good in October, rebounded a little bit in November, and then struggled once again in December as well. We've talked all summer long about the Predators needing to have a better start to their regular season, being better equipped this year to have a better start to the regular season. How does the loss of Ryan Ellis impact the start of the regular season that they're going to have? So you just take a look at the defense pairings at the moment. You would have to assume that Emelin's going to fill that top 4 role with Ryan Ellis out of the lineup. So does he play with PK Subban, who he's got a little bit of familiarity with back in Subban's days as a Montreal Canadian, or do you stick him on the top pairing with Roman Josi? Do you put him with Matthias Ekholm? I mean, there's a lot of options and things that the Nashville Predators and the coaching staff are going to have to sort through and figure out how to make it work while Ryan Ellis is out of the lineup. So obviously a huge loss for the Predators to start the season. That's not the news, if you're a Predators fan, that you wanted to hear heading into training camp. But the good news, I think, is you take a look at the rest of the roster. There's not a whole lot of holes everywhere. I mean, you look at the forward group, they're pretty solid, pretty young, pretty talented there. I think they've got some nice depth there as well. And then this opens up a spot for guys like Tony Botetto and maybe even potentially Alex Carrier in training camp to battle for a position and really push for that opening night roster. Because you take a look, the Predators, I think, have 7 defensemen right now under one-way contracts, in addition to Ellis, who would be an 8th, that he's going to be out of the lineup for the first few months. So lots of competition now in training camp. The Predators, obviously, you want to have Ryan Ellis in there as quickly as possible, but I think it's more important to make sure that he's completely healthy and fully recovered when the time comes that he does come back, so you can make your push toward the playoffs and ultimately try to get back to the Stanley Cup final this time again and close it out. So what are your thoughts? What do you think this injury to Ellis means for the Predators and their chances this season, whether it's in the regular season, whether it's their chances to return to the playoffs. What do you think the impact of this Ellis injury is going to be with the Nashville Predators? Let me know in the comments or comment on Twitter as well. You can reach me there at @RStanleyNHL.